Good evening, everyone. It's difficult to relate how honored I am to have had received the Adam Kolton Storyteller Grant. My name is Bjorn Olson. In the early 1970s, my parents moved to Alaska to escape the rat race and to seek an alternative back-to-the-land lifestyle. With the public health aid and my father on hand, my mother gave birth to me in an abandoned trapper's cabin near the native village of Mentasta. Within a year, the BLM evicted us for squatting, and we moved 15 miles down the Toke Cutoff to the small community of Salana along the banks of the Copper River. My parents purchased land and began building a home in which to raise children. Our 5-acre homestead lifestyle was subsistence-oriented. As I grew into adulthood, this closeness to and direct reliance upon the local ecology for sustenance and connectedness became fundamental to my identity, activism, and storytelling. I'm an Alaskan-based independent filmmaker, writer, and photographer. Since my teenage years, I have devoted my life to exploring the far-flung corners of Alaska by human power. Decades of on-the-ground experience with Alaska's unique geography and its rich and varied cultures informs and inspires my work. Enduring themes include environmental conservation, wilderness adventure, climate change, subsistence hunting and gathering, regenerative economies, rewilding, both ecological and human, and Alaska history. In 2007, I undertook a human-powered expedition down the frozen Kuskokwim River in southwestern Alaska. While meeting people along the trail and in the villages, I became aware of a massive open-pit mine proposal called the Donlin Mine. At that time, very few people outside the region had heard of this proposal, which, if developed, would be one of the largest open-pit gold mines in the world. Without knowing how to make a film, over the next year and a half, I undertook 3 more human-powered expeditions, covering over 1,000 miles through the areas that would be impacted if the mine were to be developed. I completed my first film, Where the Heck is Donlin, and I had found my medium of expression. Few, if any, photographers and filmmakers have impacted me as deeply as Edward Curtis, known as the Shadow Catcher. Edward Curtis devoted his life to photographing and documenting the indigenous peoples of North America. In Curtis's time, acculturation, colonization, and outright genocide were being employed against American Indians. He worked tirelessly with minimal financial gain or accolades toward his goal of respectfully documenting these rich cultures that were being eradicated by imperial might and the horrific myth of manifest destiny. Curtis died a pauper's death, but he left the world an enormous catalog of heart-wrenchingly beautiful photographs and one incredible film titled In the Land of the Headhunters. I infused the ethic of a fast and light alpinist mountaineer into my artistic discipline. My filmmaking niche is that of a one-man band. I can board a bush plane with all my important equipment, or hop onto a snow machine, an ATV, a fat bike, or in a sea kayak to fit myself into small spaces and capture big stories. Whether standing atop the Columbia Glacier, capturing interviews about glacial retreat, crammed into the corner of a village community center filming emotionally charged testimony from Yupik elders relating the importance of clean water to federal agencies, or fat biking the Iditarod Trail, I become immersed in each story I produce. Since my first humble filmmaking foray, I have gone on to complete over 100 films and have won several awards. The themes within my work vary, but there is a continuity that can be found within them all. An overwhelming devotion to Alaska, its unbroken ecology, stories from the people who have lived here since before recorded time, and the value of intact ecosystems that support the vast interconnected community of life. My activism is born out of love, and filmmaking is the most effective way I have discovered to share with others valuable lessons and insights I have teased out of this great land. This generous grant will allow me to complete the most important documentary I've had the opportunity to produce. Over a lifetime of traveling through Alaska and visiting over 60 rural villages, I've yet to encounter a place so singularly special as Inyalik, or as it's called in English, Little Diomede. Due to their extreme remote location, this American community has, until very recently, escaped many aspects of acculturation. Climate change, rather than colonization, is bringing the village to kneel, forcing them to adapt to a new and rapidly changing reality. This grant will allow me to create and share the most important film I've ever made. As our civilization continues its trajectory of ecological destruction, many lessons can and should be learned from indigenous peoples. The tiny island of Little Diomede, situated in the middle of the Bering Strait, has been inhabited for many thousands of years by people who understood how to live in accord with the environment. Living sustainably on a steep and rocky 3-mile-long island in the middle of a formidable sea is a metaphor from which the other inhabitants of spaceship Earth can take inspiration from. Alaska and the world owe an enormous debt of gratitude to Adam Kolton for his tireless efforts to protect the Arctic from reckless development. Our world is on fire, and no one will be spared if we don't each soon discover our own inner Adam Kolton and pick up where his work tragically and prematurely left off. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Laura, and the entire Kolton family. Thank you to the Alaska Wilderness League, and thank you, Adam. As the world increasingly becomes a darker place, you shined a light for us to see and follow. You are not forgotten, and your legacy will help carry us forward toward a brighter future. Please enjoy a sample of my ongoing film project, How We Survived Diomede.
Like that, Right here in Little Diomede, we're at the border of international date line we shared with Russia. Little Diomede is about 3 miles around, a little over 1,300 feet high, sedimentary granite rock. That's what it is made of. It is dwelt by natives who lived and dwelt here for 10,000 years. And the reason I picked this place is it's resourceful. We have birds, abundance of it. There's about 30 to 40 species of birds. And we have the mammals that do pass through here, which is the whale. The whales consist of the gray, the bowhead, the minke, the humpback, the orcas, the porpoise. Our sustenance mainly is the walrus, which we get, so those are what migrate seasonally. In the past 10 years now, we've seen changes and affected our way of life, climatic way.
Climate change. You know, Diomede, I've noticed it maybe a good 10 years back. Noticed the warming, you know, the change in the plant, the ice condition, how the pressure ice forms here. It's been a big notice for Diomede. I think with our location we're at, it makes us more understanding that it's gonna change more. It changes how we hunt, how we gather, how we survive Diomede.